During the harsh Hokkaido winters, when insect prey becomes scarce, tree sap emerges as a vital source of nourishment. Yes, Misaki drinks tree sap. More about that later, but I'm probably gonna have like a whole episode on that. She also adapts by consuming seeds and small berries. Hello everyone, good morning. I hope you're doing well today, and I hope your day is going great. And if not, that is totally fine. Welcome to the Early Bird Weekly podcast where we talk about birds. I'm Diksha Satish Kumar, and in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the Shima Enaga. We will look into some interesting facts about the Shima Enaga and sometimes go off track with what's happening outside my window. I woke up at 5 a.m. one morning to read, and I look out the window and I see a little red fox scurrying away. There are a lot of foxes here, but they mostly don't come out in the normal hours. I think they're also like early risers like me. Okay, we're getting off track. So now let's shift our focus to the star of today's episode, Shima Enaga. But before we go into the episode, we are going to do some breathing exercises to help us focus and relax. So if you're ready, close your eyes and breathe in. Hold your breath and breathe out slowly. Breathe in. Hold your breath and breathe out. Last time here, take it slow. Breathe in. Hold your breath and breathe out. Keep your eyes closed and imagine the sweet, fresh scent of the sakura flowers drift through your dreams and keep you in your deep spring sleep. As you rest under the cherry blossom tree, you can feel the delicate soft grass beneath you. It's better than any mattress you could hope for. As you softly inhale and exhale the sweet scented air, your dreams come to a halt when you hear a high-pitched call. You wake up instantly. You have no idea. You meant to look for it. But as you tilt your head a little upwards, you see a sakura branch lined with tiny marshmallow-like fluff balls. Your face lights up instantly at this sight. A branch filled with Shima Enaga nestlings and the Fuji Mountains lining the background. At this moment, you know that if you don't capture this, you will regret it for your entire life. If you're closing your eyes, you can open it. So I'm going to tell you what is just going on. So this is totally unrelated, but there's a Japanese confection called dango. Hanami dango, also known as sanshoku dango or three-colored dango, is a traditional Japanese sweet made from three distinct colored rice dumplings: pink, white, and green. You guys might have seen this like in TikTok or whatever, but it's cured on a bamboo stick and is typically enjoyed during the cherry blossom viewing season, or hanami, in spring. The Shima Enaga nestlings practice flying, but they soon get tired, so the small nestlings fall asleep in a bead-like formation on a branch that looks like a dango. So Japanese bird watchers call this fluffenomenon, or Enaga dango. These birds don't just mean to put on a fluffy, cute display. This is actually incredibly important to survive the harsh Hokkaido winters. One of the most critical survival strategies, especially during Hokkaido's severe winters, is communal roosting. To conserve precious body heat on frigid nights, flock members huddle closely together, especially nestlings. This behavior is vital for these tiny birds, which are highly susceptible to the cold. Within these roosting groups, subtle dominance hierarchies may influence which birds secure the warmest, most protected positions. In Hokkaido, Japan's second largest island. Fluffy white little birds flitter through the trees. They look like white cotton balls bouncing around and are beloved by the Japanese, who call them Shima Enaga. In English, they're known as long-tailed tits, though this particular subspecies is only found in Hokkaido. For birdwatchers visiting Hokkaido, spotting a Shima Enaga is a must. These birds are most active during the early morning and late afternoon. Watching them dart between snow-covered trees is a truly magical experience, especially in the winter when their white plumage blends beautifully with the snowy backdrop. The best time to observe Shima Enagas is during the winter months when they are easier to spot against the white snow. They tend to frequent forests and parks, especially those with ample tree cover. Birdwatchers should keep an eye out for their long tails and listen for their distinctive high-pitched calls. In this episode, we'll be learning about Misaki. She can be described as pure fluff with a beak, 2 eyes, and long tail. Just look at her, flitting through branches and trying to eat the frozen cherries. Misaki is a distinct subspecies of the long-tailed tit. But what sets her apart is her all-white face, unlike her cousins in mainland Japan, which sport black eyebrows. This absence of facial markings, along with her small size and poofy plumage, make her look like a cute little ball of cotton. Misaki approximately 13 to 15 centimeters long, with nearly half of her length made up by her long, graceful tail. But what's more astonishing is her weight. Misaki only weighs 8 grams. This incredibly light weight makes her survival in Hokkaido's frigid winters all the more extraordinary. Here, in Hokkaido, temperatures can plummet well below -10 degrees Celsius. A key adaptation to the cold is her ability to poof out her feathers, trapping a layer of air for insulation. This behavior, common in winter, further enhances her round, fluffy appearance. This combination of aesthetic charm and functionality is a striking example of natural selection at work, highlighting how even the most cute features can serve critical survival purposes. So we just learned about Misaki's appearance. So she has an all-white face, poofy feathers, and long, graceful tail. So this appearance is very unique to the Shima Enaga, and that's why they became popular. So their all-white face, as we learned, is helping with their camouflage against the snowy backdrop. Also, her poofy feathers keep her insulated in the Hokkaido winters. So, one thing I found interesting is that this Shima Enaga is a subspecies of the long-tailed tit, which is found like in mainland Japan. But the eyebrows, or the line that goes from their eyes to the back of their head, is missing in the Shima Enaga, while it is present in the long-tailed tit. And that is what really makes the Shima Enaga distinguishable and unique. Misaki and her family are native to the northernmost island of Japan, Hokkaido, a true Hokkaido endemic, which means they are found nowhere else in the world. So for example, kangaroos are only endemic to Australia, and pandas, or giant pandas, are only endemic to China. So they're only found in that particular place and nowhere else in the world. So that makes this Shima Enaga even more unique. So these birds thrive in the island's temperate forests, where they forage in groups for food, and during the harsh winters, they can be found flitting through snow-covered trees in search of insects, spiders, and larvae. Anything they can find to sustain themselves through the cold seasons. In Hokkaido, the subspecies has a totally white face, which makes the birds look like fluffy cotton balls. So this little flitting behavior, how they kind of flit between trees to find food and insects, just makes them 2 times more cuter. So Misaki and her family prefer areas where trees are abundant. So they're often found in dense forests and subalpine regions. So that means a kind of mountainous regions. So the broader long-tailed tit species with the eyebrows enjoys a vast distribution across Europe and Asia. This particular subspecies is a unique treasure of Japan's northern island. So the Shima Enaga is kind of like Hokkaido's treasure. These birds favor deciduous and mixed woodlands, forests, mountainous regions, and they prefer edge habitats and areas that offer a well-developed shrub layer like parks, gardens, scrubland, and along hedgerows. So this provides both foraging opportunities and cover. So specific locations like the Napporo Forest Park and Utonai Lake are known hotspots for viewing them, especially during winter months. So these birds, the Shima Naga, really like cover because they think that's protection for them, and also because they're very tiny, they're really hard to spot. So what makes Hokkaido's long-tailed tits so special? So far, we know that all members of the species are tiny, measuring 13 to 15 centimeters long, and half of that is tail. But in Hokkaido, these tits have a characteristic that adds to their cuteness. Long-tailed tits have distinct black eyebrows that sweep about their eyes. But then as they grow up and reach adulthood, their faces become white. I just find that really, really interesting. I know it happens to some other birds and some animals as well, but in this case, it's super unique. Speaking about spotting a Shima Enaga, for those hoping to catch a glimpse of these, a few strategies can improve the odds. Learning how to recognize their distinctive call, often described as a zhuzh sound, is very handy. Other vocalizations are noted as being constant and high-pitched, often heard before the birds are seen. Winter is frequently cited as the prime time for observation and photography, as the snowy landscapes provide a stunning contrast to their white plumage. Their feeding behaviors, particularly around the sources of tree sap, can become more predictable. Shima Enaga are highly territorial, especially during the winter months when they actively defend their chosen habitats. Misaki is a year-round resident of Hokkaido, meaning that she can be observed throughout the seasons. However, despite her growing fame and distinctive look, she is notoriously difficult to spot. Her diminutive size, or little size, wary nature, and constant, rapid movement from tree to tree, often in mixed flocks with other small birds, make her elusive or hard targets for even dedicated bird watchers. Misaki just likes being fast. So indeed, finding them without expert local knowledge can be incredibly challenging, if not impossible. So, these birds are really hard to impress. The Shima Enaga, often hailed as the cutest bird in the world, is a delightful and tiny species of bird native to Hokkaido, Japan, belonging to the long-tailed tit family. Agitalidae, this fluffy snowball-like bird has won the hearts of bird enthusiasts worldwide. With its round body, bright eyes, and unique white face, the Shima Enaga stands out both for its appearance and charming behaviors. This popularity also translates into a significant draw for tourism and wildlife photography. Many visitors travel to Hokkaido, especially in winter, with the specific hope of photographing Misaki in her snowy realm. Is considered for photographers, capturing a clear, charming image of this elusive bird is considered a prized achievement. Misaki perfectly embodies the Japanese cultural concept of kawaii, an aesthetic that values cuteness, charm, childlike innocence, and all things adorable. So Misaki is kind of like the kawaii icon in Japan. Unlike many birds that migrate to warmer climates, Misaki stays in Hokkaido throughout the year. Her dense, fluffy feathers serve as an excellent insulation against freezing temperatures. So her ability to survive and even thrive in cold weather is one of her most remarkable traits. She often huddles together at night in tree crevices to conserve warmth. They live year-round in Hokkaido, where their snow-white faces certainly help them blend in during the island's long winters. Shima Enaga are highly social creatures, particularly outside the demanding breeding season, which typically runs from July through February. During these colder months, they form compact flocks, usually comprising around 6 to 20 individuals, though sometimes more. These birds perform acrobatic tricks as they flutter around. These flocks are often family affairs, consisting of the parent birds and their offspring from the previous breeding season. So frequently, they're also joined by other adult birds that may not have bred successfully themselves. So as the breeding season approaches, it typically starts in late February or early March. These winter flocks disband or disperse, and the birds try to form monogamous pairs for nesting. Misaki communicates with her flock through a series of high-pitched calls, ensuring it stays connected, especially in dense forests. So Misaki uses her communication to keep her flock together. While their small size makes them vulnerable during cold winters, their broods always rebound due to the sheer number of eggs they lay. Typically, they'll lay 7 to 10 eggs, so that even if some don't survive, enough chicks hatch to keep the population numbers up. I think they lay more than 10 eggs, sometimes they lay like a dozen eggs. The intricate social system of the Shima Enaga that includes flocking when they move in flocks to stay protected, communal roosting when they sleep together or huddle together at night for warmth, just like we saw in the beginning of the episode. And the cooperative breeding, this is something we're going to be learning later. So this is when helper birds kind of help raise the chicks of other nests. So these are all not merely a charming little quirk, but a sophisticated evolutionary response to a dangerous array of environmental pressures. So this means that the lifestyle of Misaki and her flock is not just a fun little thing they've maintained for years, but something that they created due to need as the environment changes around them rapidly. So in simple words, this is how the birds have adapted to staying in Hokkaido all year long. So during the breeding season, Shima Enaga birds exhibit distinctive courtship behaviors, primarily during the spring breeding season, which begins in April and can extend into early summer. The male courts the female with a series of soft, trilling calls and by presenting her with food. This we've seen in other birds as well, like the snowy owl or the pygmy owl that brings food to the female. The displays are part of an elaborate ritual that can resemble a ballet against the snowy landscape of Hokkaido. So I can just imagine the Shima Enaga dancing ballet in one of the branches and the nutcracker kind of playing in the background. So anyways, they often engage in acrobatic flights and calls to attract mates. Once a pair forms, they work together to build their nest, a cooperative effort that emphasizes their monogamous nature. So now let's get back to Misaki's story. She has been with her partner, Haruto, for over a year. They have raised one successful brood with a dozen nestlings so far. Despite the short summer season in Hokkaido and the brutal winters that follow, this pair has endured and persevered to feed and raise their chicks. Misaki and Haruto build their nest in shrubs or tree branches, often using moss and feathers for insulation. Nest construction is an elaborate affair, meaning it is a very hard thing. So both Misaki and Haruto collaborate in building this cozy haven, a process that can take up to 3 weeks. So it takes up to nearly like a month to build this nest, so these birds are working hard. The interior of the nest is lined with a large number of soft feathers, sometimes up to even 1,500 or 2,000, providing an excellent insulation for the developing chicks. These nests are typically built in the forks of tree branches within mixed woodlands, offering a safe and hidden location. It is now early spring. The cherry blossoms have begun to bloom, and Misaki is happy with her nest. So both the male and female Shima Enaga kind of incubate the nestlings, and I can imagine why, because they do have a lot of nestlings. After hatching, the nestlings remain in the nest for 15 to 20 days, 15, not 15, before fledging. During this time, they are fed and cared for by Misaki and Haruto, and often assisted by helpers. So this is where we talk about the cooperative breeding here. Helpers are close relatives or other birds that have failed to breed. So what they do is they kind of help feed these nestlings and defend the nest. So they indirectly kind of help. So these birds contribute to feeding and nest defense. So you might have wondered, just like I did, how Misaki and Haruto ensure the survival of a dozen chicks in Hokkaido. To be honest, it's not possible without the helpers birds, the parents' biggest support. So these helper birds take turns with the parents, bringing insects back to the nest until the chicks grow old enough to fend for themselves. So going back to the beginning of the episode, after spending 15 to 20 days in their warm, cozy little nest, these birds, these little nestlings, try to fly. So since these small marshmallows get tired easily, they fly back to their branch and huddle together, forming what bird watchers call the fluff phenomenon, or the Enaga dango. So I didn't create this. This is according to Kyotako Ko on YouTube. He kind of talks about Japanese stuff, and I really like his channel. You should definitely check it out. So this cooperative breeding behavior increases the chances of nest success, although predation by jays, crows, and small hawks remain a significant threat. So studies on long-tailed tits have shown that nests with helpers tend to have greater success. So in one study, around 50% of nests had one or more helpers. So this picture taken by Princess Tamaiko, she has captioned that pairs prepare to breed around February when it's still cold. They use spider silk or moth cocoon threads with glue to build an oval nest of moss attached to it. From a distance, these nests look like tree knobs. Their interior of the nests are lined with many bird feathers and are soft and fluffy. They lay 10 to 12 small eggs, each about the size of the tip of a pinky finger. To build these tiny miniature nests, these birds use so much of their precious energy at a time. So looking at some statistics here, the nest rates for long-tailed tits are often low, cited in the range of 17% to 24% success rates. So, however, the nests that escape predation have a very high survival rate, around 97%. So this is something interesting that I found on the internet. Research on the closely related silver-throated tit suggests that nest height can influence predation risk, with higher nests sometimes being more vulnerable. So that's why these birds kind of build these nests lower, so that you know they're not more vulnerable. I think hawks and ravens, they're all birds, so they kind of look for nests that are high up about the trees. So the Shima Enaga are very smart. So these Shima Enaga build their nests lower. So that's very interesting. So Misaki must stay away from the top branches and settle lower. So it was observed that birds build nests lower as the breeding season progressed. Despite these high morality factors, Shima Enaga populations can often recover relatively quickly thanks to their large brood sizes and the benefits of cooperative breeding. I told you, nothing's possible without the helpers. The average lifespan of the Shima Enaga in the wild is typically short, averaging only 2 to 3 years. I think this time is too short for so much cuteness to last. But in the wild, it is hard for these birds to kind of survive for a long time. I think if these birds were, in a captive kind of condition, they might survive for longer. But as of now, the longest lifespan has been 3 years. So the intense nest predation rates means that ensuring the success of each breeding attempt is very important for Misaki and Haruto. Cooperative breeding boosts the chances of fledglings surviving. Misaki and Haruto rely on their helpers to ensure their reproductive success. Given Shima Enaga's short natural lifespan, doing something to ensure success in reproduction, even indirectly, by aiding the survival of related offspring, is very important for the continuation of the Shima Enaga species. So this means that any disturbance to their delicate social structure that they have created here, I cannot imagine these little tiny birds dying. So if we don't disturb Misaki and Haruto, just imagine how many marshmallows we'll get. Just imagine how many Enaga dongos there will be. So yeah, these birds look out for each other, and every person, like even the helpers, is very, very important in the community. So that's why it's really delicate, even like a little, if two of the helpers are, gone, and now the parents only have like, themselves to, manage a dozen chicks, it will be really hard for them to do that. So every bird in this community is really important. Even a little disturbance to their flock members can, cause a big change to their reproductive success, their lifestyle, and everything. But with a flock this large, communication is very important. The Shima Enaga is known for its constant vocalizations, which are a key aid in locating and identifying the bird. These vocalizations are often heard before the birds are seen. So if you heard it, you'll most likely spot it soon. These birds typically travel in flocks and emit a variety of calls, including a single high-pitched pit and distinctive triple trill of east, 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 and a rattling shur. Okay, that was horrible. I wanted to delete it out of this podcast, but I don't know how else to pronounce these things. The calls become faster and louder when the birds cross open ground or if an individual becomes separated from the group. They use this to maintain contact with their flocks, stay connected in dense forests, and warn others of dangers. Kind of like how we chat on our phone with our friends, just make a call and just sit there and talk for hours. Just like that, these birds do that to strengthen bonds as well. So, I personally think that they also have another use for their communication, gossiping about other Shima Enagas from other territories. Misaki's diet is primarily insectivorous. She feeds on small insects, spiders, and larvae, often foraging high up in the canopy of trees. Misaki's taking a risk there, because that's where all the hawks live. Her diet also includes minute prey such as leaf hoppers, tree hoppers, aphids, and various caterpillars. So it looks like Misaki really likes insects. It gets weirder. She prefers the eggs of astronomical huge moths and butterflies. And they supplement their dish. Why did I say dish? They supplement their diet with vegetable matter. Yep, these tiny little marshmallows eat astronomical moth eggs. So, even the cutest birds can have weird traits. So like many resourceful creatures, Misaki's diet is not static, but it adapts to the changing seasons. During the harsh Hokkaido winters, when insect prey becomes scarce, tree sap emerges as a vital source of nourishment. Yes, Misaki drinks tree sap. More about that later, but I'm probably gonna have like a whole episode on that. She also adapts by consuming seeds and small berries. Misaki is extremely agile, hopping between branches and hanging upside down to reach her meals. Shima Enaga are tiny birds that are incredibly active and acrobatic foragers. So if you're recruiting gymnasts, please go to Hokkaido and get a Shima Enaga. Okay, I don't care if this behavior is highly useful, but I know that this just makes them 3 times more cuter. Just imagine these tiny little cotton fluff balls dancing through branches and trying to eat their little frozen berries. It would just make my day and heal my worries. One of their most remarkable feeding behaviors involves the consumption of tree sap, particularly from species like sawtooth oak and maple. In the transitional period of late winter to early spring, a fascinating phenomenon occurs. Sap oozing from damaged tree branches can freeze into sweet icicles, often termed sapsicles. just like popsicles, get it? Anyways, Shima Enaga have been observed skillfully hovering to lick the dripping sugary sap from these natural popsicles. This behavior is not just a quaint curiosity, it provides a crucial source of sugars when other food is scarce and energy demands are high. The Shima Enaga like their sugar. See, whenever I think these birds are doing something for our entertainment, they prove me wrong. They always have to have a reason beyond their cute little habits. So right now it's kind of like 6 a.m. here. Oh my god, the sun's coming out. Anyways, they often travel and forage in small flocks, a strategy that may increase foraging efficiency or predator detection. So as we said, so for example, if mom goes to buy groceries, she goes to do the laundry, and then she, vacuums the house, it's gonna take her like 5 hours. But then if dad does half of the work, if he goes to the groceries, mom does the laundry and vacuum the house, it's gonna take like an hour. So same with the Shima Enaga here, they kind of go in flocks so they can all do different things and, get more food. Yeah, and I also think that, a sense of community or this willingness to be with a flock and you go on hunts, foraging, help raise chicks together, and sleep together. It's all like a family, and if we disrupt this, just imagine how broken-hearted these little marshmallows will be. So in recent times, Shima Enaga have also been increasingly observed visiting garden seed feeders, particularly during the autumn and winter months, demonstrating their adaptability. This shows that Shima Enaga can also eat insects, they can eat sap, and then they can also eat garden seed from your garden seed feeder. This is a picture taken by Princess Tamaiko, and she is captioned, "Long-tailed tits prey on small insects and spiders at the tips of the branches. It also drinks sap from sawtooth and oaks and maple trees. If sap freezes into icicles, they often drink the dripping sweet sap while hovering. In winter, when the invertebrate food or insects are scarce, this is an important source of nourishment." So one thing I found interesting here is the Shima Enaga eat insects from the tip of the branches. The reliance of the Shima Enaga on food sources that last for a short time, like the sapsicles, illustrate a delicate synchrony with its environment, meaning that Shima Enaga understand and adapt to their environment, moving with its flow. Sapsicles, for instance, form under very precise temperature conditions, typically around -2 to -4 degrees Celsius. This food source is very important at the end of winter, a period when nest insect availability is at its lowest, and the bird's energy reserves are almost all used up. So sapsicles are not just a tasty winter treat, but determine whether they're going to starve or be fed during harsh Hokkaido winters. So now we invite Mr. Climate Change here. If sap flows too early or too late, or if the narrow temperature window or specific temperature range required for the sapsicle formation is disrupted, these birds could lose access to a vital energy source. This opens our eyes to an unnoticed vulnerability. This is an example of a subtle yet potentially severe impact of climate disruption on Shima Enaga. It could ultimately lead to decreased winter survival rates and lower reproductive success. So these sapsicles are no joke. To determine the conservation status of the Shima Enaga, we need to look at both the broader species and the specific subspecies. So, we need to look at their cousins as well. The long-tailed tit species Agathalus caudatus as a whole is a globally widespread and numerous species. So their cousins like to travel, making their populations present worldwide. Long-tailed tit is listed as a species of least concern on the IUCN Red List of threatened species, which means that the species is not currently facing an immediate threat of extinction and is considerably reasonably abundant. Whoa, that was really rhyming. This designation is also recognized by organizations like BirdLife International and the British Trust for Ornithology, or BTO. However, the provided information does not specify a separate, distinct conservation status for the Agathalos caudatus japonicus subspecies, the Shima Enaga of Hokkaido. So our Shima Enaga is a subspecies of Agathalos caudatus. Our Shima Enaga scientific name is Agathalos caudatus japonicus. I'm really happy that they're listed as least concerned because now they can raise more chicks. So, these adorable white birds are more than just a pretty sight. They play an important role in their ecosystem as seed dispersers and insect controllers. Their distribution extends beyond Japan, reaching parts of the Palearctic realm, but they're truly a highlight of Hokkaido's winter landscapes. So, I didn't know what the Palearctic realm was, but then I checked Google like 3 times with the wrong spelling each time to get this result. So the Palearctic realm is also called Euro-Siberia, and it is a biogeographic realm of the Earth, the largest of 8. So I think there are 8 biogeographic realms, and it is also confined mostly entirely to the Eastern Hemisphere. So the Palearctic realm is confined mostly entirely to the Eastern Hemisphere. So it stretches across Europe and Asia, north of the foothills of the Himalayas, and North Africa. So this just got more interesting. Okay, moving on. Hokkaido doesn't go easy on these little birds during winter. Due to their extraordinarily small size and high surface area to volume ratio, Misaki and her flock are extremely vulnerable to cold temperatures. Severe and prolonged cold spells can lead to high winter mortality. So to put it in simple words, Shima Enaga are more subject to death when the winter is longer. Records for the long-tailed tit species indicate that up to 80% of a local population can perish during particularly extreme winters. I know I hate winters even more. Although, this is something natural for these birds, and their populations kind of recover due to raising so many nestlings. It still emphasizes how fragile they are. And just as you all thought the threat list for these tiny birds was over, we have climate change. Hokkaido is already witnessing alterations in its climate patterns, with potential consequences for its wildlife. For Misaki and her flock, these changes could manifest in several ways. There could be disruption to food availability, such as changes in the timing of insect emergence or the formation of sapsicles. And you know how important these sweet drippy things are. Misaki's life depends on a popsicle. Due to climate change, there could be alterations in snow cover, which could reduce the effectiveness of their white winter camouflage. There could also be shifts in the migration patterns or abundance of other species. This can increase competition for resources and alter predator-prey dynamics. So the Shima Enaga are highly territorial. So they don't like visitors, they don't like other birds coming into their territories. Climate change can drive other birds and other animals, even predators, to come to their territory. And this can definitely disrupt their flock. This can definitely disrupt insect availability or food availability. What if other birds like the same insects that Shima Enaga like? Or, what if other birds take a liking to the sapsicles? So these are all food items that are reserved for the Shima Enaga because they're in a limited quantity. And if climate change kind of drives other animals to come into their, territory, then the Shima Enaga will have to, face their consequences. One anecdotal report from the winter of 2025 noted that unusually warm temperatures led to changes in their behavior and feeding habits, making them absent from their visual visits. So the observed behavioral shifts or changes in the Shima Enaga behavior due to unexpected weather patterns show its sensitivity to environmental changes. So the Shima Enaga are really sensitive to what's going on around them as regarding to weather. Hence, monitoring Shima Enaga populations and their behaviors could offer early warnings about broader ecological shifts occurring in Hokkaido. They are kind of this indicator species that, if something's happening to them, something's happening to the environment. We can, by observing their behavior, we can, gain insight into what's happening in the environment. So they kind of warn us. Given its iconic status, the Shima Enaga could serve as a powerful flagship species for local conservation efforts. So these birds are kind of, friends of conservationists. Misaki and her flock have all these subtle threats sulking around them. The least concerned status on the species level may mask some of these vulnerabilities for the Japonicas species. So this might, mask some of the vulnerabilities that they're facing right now that are really, really subtle, are really hard to define. Just because this bird is least concerned, this might not prompt scientists or conservationists to kind of conserve them or preserve their populations. And this might create a conservation blind spot. Okay, that was a lot of information. So let's take a short break here and look at something interesting. So the Shima Enaga has been widely popularized as this kawaii icon in Japan. This has raised awareness for this bird and inspired ornithologists and conservationists to study Shima Enagas. So even though, they're least concerned, this kawaii icon kind of popular image has inspired scientists and ornithologists. You can also win your way to conservation by your looks. This is an article that Princess Tamaiko wrote for BirdLife International. She has shown a personal interest in the bird, which she has photographed and written about. She shared her experiences and photos of the Shima Enaga, noting her time spent observing them in Teshikagacho on February 1, 2018. She also describes the cold conditions while waiting to photograph them. Her engagement with the bird appears to be through personal observation and photography rather than academic research. She also holds the honorary position of Honorary President of BirdLife International, an organization dedicated to bird conservation. So in this picture, the caption reads, "Subspecies are those belonging to the same species that are usually geographically isolated and have therefore developed distinct differences in body, color, size, and patterns. The long-tailed tit species is found in Honshu, Kyushu, Shikoku, and Tsushima Islands, has a thick eyebrow-like patch." So her article reads as such. The subspecies of long-tailed tit found in Hokkaido, Japan, known as Shima Enaga in Japanese, is becoming increasingly popular lately. They attract not only birders, but also non-birders' hearts. I've been spending time going through pretty photos of long-tailed tit, and if I continue, I am afraid I'll miss the opportunity to discuss the bird. So, I'm going to take the plunge and show you a picture. It was taken in Teshikagacho, Hokkaido, where I first saw Shima Enaga on February 1st, 2018. Although I was fine while I was concentrating on shooting photographs, when I stood still and waited for the birds, I felt the blistering cold. Another unforgettable memory from that day was that I made the mistake of taking photographs using a tripod with a hydraulic head. Because the oil had frozen inside it, the lens could not be swung from side to side. So I had to move the tripod every time the birds moved. Since then, I have visited Hokkaido several times and always make sure to take a different tripod in winter. In the above paragraph, Princess Tamaiko very honestly writes about her camera before giving us an insight into the bird cafe she visited in Chitose. The article progresses. On a different note, when I visited the bird-watching cafe Chitose, which is owned by the photographer Mr. Tadashi Shimada, I heard an interesting story about the use of fat for bird feeding. Princess Tamaiko seems like a very down-to-earth and gentle person. She ends her article by giving us info about bird feeders and unique description of Shima Enaga. The article progresses. Some may point out the ecological impact of bird feeding, which is still relatively poorly understood. It seems important to follow proper procedures, such as choosing the right type of feed for the appropriate season, placing fresh and good quality food, and keeping bird feeders clean. Returning to the main subject of this article, Shima Enaga has a white face and a round, fluffy, snowman-like shape when facing forward. It has an easily illustrated form, with black eyes, stylish pink eyelids, and a small triangular black beak. The species' friendliness and adorable gestures are what likely make people fall in love with them. Indeed, the way it tilts its head and looks at me inquisitively often makes me smile. For many warm-blooded animals, individuals of same species often weigh more in colder regions. In extremely cold regions, this large body size may be advantageous. It therefore seems miraculous that long-tailed tits, which weigh only 8 grams, live in Hokkaido, where winters are harsh, and its shining appearance makes it look like a real-life snow fairy. I thought that was a very beautiful article. I literally learned so much about the Shima Enaga just from that article, especially the fact that they have pink eyelids is very interesting to me. So now let's get back to some seriously cute Shima Enaga stuff. So I collected some fun facts about Shima Enaga, so I'm just going to read it to you. In contemporary Japan, the Shima Enaga is a cultural icon. It is heavily featured across various media platforms, from social networking services (SNS) and television programs to books, anime, and manga. There is an explosion in Shima Enaga-themed merchandise. Souvenir shops and online stores have Shima Enaga plush toys, some of which are life-sized or even larger. There's Shima Enaga character goods, stationery, and even novelty food items, such as specially designed Krispy Kreme donuts. Look at this. I would never want to eat that. And this was quoted by Kyota Koko. Even though the Shima Enaga is tiny, the amount of shelf space they inhabit in Japan is never small. So they have some serious business there, guys. The second fun fact is that Shima Enaga are territorial. So they fight against other Shima Enaga groups, and it looks like marshmallows in a dogfight. So they're also angry during mating season, so watch out. They may tackle you with their 8-gram bodies and heal your long-standing anxieties. And coming up is my favorite fact so far. Shima Enaga are known for performing acrobatic tricks as they flit among the trees. These energetic birds, which are native to Hokkaido, Japan, typically move in flocks of 20 to 30 individuals and are often seen dangling upside down or performing playful maneuvers while foraging for seeds and insects. Their small size and fluffy appearance contribute to their lively and bouncy movements, which have earned them descriptions like bouncy cotton ball. It is the perfect description. Whoever thought this up is a genius. In Japan, the Shima Enaga holds a special place in the hearts of many. Its adorable appearance has made it a popular figure in Japanese art, merchandise, and even social media. Many people associate the bird with purity, tranquility, and the natural beauty of Hokkaido's landscapes. So now, moving on to our last fact here, one of the most critical survival strategies, especially during Hokkaido's severe winters, is communal roosting. To conserve precious body heat on frigid nights, flock members huddle closely together. This behavior is vital for these tiny birds, which are highly susceptible to cold. Within these roosting groups, subtle dominance hierarchies may influence which birds secure the warmest, most protected positions. So even, it's impossible to imagine these birds having hierarchies. I think they'll be kind of graded for their cuteness or something. So that was not actually our last fact there. I lied. There is a whole section on etymology that I researched about. So this bird is known for its unique appearance. Oh, by the way, etymology means the study of the origin of names. So for example, our bird is called Agitalos caudatus japonicus. So we are now going to be looking at how, that name originated. So Shima Enaga is known for its unique appearance, particularly the adult's completely white face, which resembles a small snowman, and its long tail, which can be half its body length. It is often described as looking like a bouncy cotton ball or a sweetheart-looking bonnie of a bird. So the term bonny in the context of a bird primarily refers to the Scottish word bonny, meaning attractive or beautiful. Whoever came up with these names should be rewarded with a free lifetime Starbucks pass. The bird's cultural significance is tied to its habitat and the people of Hokkaido. The Ainu people, who inhabited Hokkaido for centuries before Japanese settlers arrived, had a close relationship with the land and its animals, including the Shima Enaga. In Japanese, the long-tailed tit is called Enaga, but the white ones living in Hokkaido are called Shima Enaga. The Shima Enaga has, in recent years, achieved a level of popularity in Japan that few wild creatures can match. It is frequently and affectionately referred to as the cutest bird in Japan and the snow fairy, titles that speak to its ethereal beauty and endearing appearance. The modern adoration has roots that extend into the traditional culture of Hokkaido. The Ainu, the indigenous people of the island, have long recognized the bird, calling it Upas Sir, which translates to snowbird. This name beautifully reflects a small white figure, often seen against a snowy landscape, and indicates a deep-seated cultural awareness of its connection to winter. So, I think the Ainu people were kind of like the earliest conservationists. The Japanese name Shima Enaga itself is descriptive. Shima signifies Hokkaido, emphasizing its exclusive home, while Enaga refers to the long handle of a ladle, drawing a comparison between the bird's disproportionately long tail and its tiny body. So, Enaga actually means ladle. That is a perfect description of their tail. So, now let's get into some scientific stuff. The Shima Enaga is sometimes referred to as the silver-throated tit or the silver-throated dasher. The long-tailed tit was first classified as a tit of the Paris group. The Paris group consists of a genus of Old World birds within the tit family Paridae. This genus was historically large, encompassing most of the approximately 50 species in the family, but was split into several resurrected genera. The genus name Paris is derived from the Latin word for tit. It was introduced in 1758 by Carl Linnaeus in the 10th edition of his Systema Naturae. The Paris has been split from the Agitalidae and become a distinct family containing 3 subgroup families. So I think the Paris was part of Agitalidae, or the Agitalidae group was part of the Paris group, but then now they both have split, and now we have 3 groups, namely Agitalos, or long-tailed tits. So in this group there are 5 species of bird, that's what Wikipedia says, but then not Wikipedia, it's some other website. So we have Agitalos, which is the long-tailed tits, that is where our species belongs and their cousins belong. So they have 5 species of birds with a tail. That's what this website suggests, but other websites suggest that there are 9 species in this family. Then we have Sultry Paris 1, North American bush tit, which is monotypic, which means it has only 1 species in that family. And then we have Sultry Paris 2, Pygmy bush tit, which is also monotypic. Our bird belongs to the first group, Agithalos. According to Google, this family contains 9 bird species, so get ready for one of the biggest pronunciation tests. So the species with the genus Agithalos include the long-tailed tit, or Agithalos caudatus, which has the most widespread distribution. So it occurs across Asia, from Britain to Japan. Silver-throated bush tit, or Agithalos glaucogularis, which is found in central and eastern China. The white-cheeked bush tit is called Agithalos leucogenes and is found in Afghanistan, Kashmir, and Pakistan. The black-throated bush tit, or the Agithalos concinus, is found in the foothills of the Himalayas. The white-throated bush tit, or Agithalos niveogularis, is found in India, Nepal, and Pakistan. The rufous-fronted bush tit, Agithalos oschistos, is found in the eastern and central Himalayas. The black-browed bush tit, Agithalos bone balloti is found in mid-southern China and far northern Burma. The sooty bush-tit, Agitalus fuliginosus, is found in central China, and the pygmy bush-tit, Agitalus exilis, is restricted to the mountains of western Java in Indonesia. Okay, so I think I at least got a B on that test. The Shima Enaga is scientifically classified as Agitalus caudatus japonicus, a distinct subspecies of the long-tailed tit, Agitalus caudatus, the first Agitalus species. It is found exclusively on the Japanese northern island of Hokkaido. So I kind of like to say it's Japan's little sweetheart. According to some taxonomists and ornithologists, Agitalus caudatus japonicus is indeed a different species from Agitalus caudatus caudatus, aka the Shima Enaga's cousins. So they're practically saying that Shima Enagas are different species, not subspecies of the long-tailed tit. Others claim that it is only a subspecies of the Agitalus caudatus caudatus, so its scientific name would be Agitalus caudatus caudatus japonicus, aka the Shima Enaga. Therefore, while the Shima Enaga is often treated as a distinct subspecies, it being a valid separate species is not agreed upon by scientists. So, that was a lot of information. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about it. So now, you can close your eyes or just picture this in your mind. Picture you captured under the sakura tree branch. Just made your entire year. You show it to your friends, family, and everyone that passes by you. Everyone has the same reaction after seeing these little cute birds on a sakura branch. Everyone says, "How cute! Oh my god, they're so tiny." You know that the Shima Enaga is more than just a cute bird. It is a symbol of resilience and beauty in the wilds of Hokkaido. Whether you are a bird watcher or simply someone who loves nature, encountering the Shima Enaga is sure to leave a lasting impression. As we continue to protect and preserve the natural habitats of such unique creatures, we ensure that the charm of the Shima Enaga remains a part of our world for generations to come. And that brings us to the end of this early bird episode. I hope you enjoyed learning about the Shima Enaga. Tune into my episode next week when we will be chatting about another cool bird. And don't forget to follow this podcast on social media. If you'd like to message me on Instagram, the username is early_bird_weekly_podcast. Or if you'd like to send me an email, you can send it to earlybirdweeklypodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to ask any questions or give feedback. I'm open to any suggestions for the future episodes as well. If you like this episode, you can share this to your family and friends. That is always really helpful. Or feel free to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. Thanks again for listening. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.